Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a bit of a different video because I am actually joined here by KiteTales.
Hi guys!
We are going to be going over the top 10 best girls from Elden Ring. We came up with this list. We actually just finished a top 10 best boys list on her channel. If you haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend watching that one as well. So we're going to start today with my top 5, and then we're going to finish off with yours.
Perfect.
So first on my list is Cleanrot Knight Finlay. Cleanrot Knight Finlay is a spirit summoning ashes, but her description is some of the most tragic but also touching that I've found in the game. She's fiercely loyal to Melina despite knowing being in her service will actually cause the inevitable death that she will go through. It says, quote, "The Cleanrot Knights vowed to fight alongside Melina despite the inevitable, if gradual, putrefaction of their flesh. Their acceptance of their fate made these battles fiercest of all." And I just find that so inspiring. And also, Cleanrot Knight Finlay carried Melina to the Haligtree after the big Scarlet Aeonia bloom in Caelid. It says, "Finlay was one of the few survivors of the Battle of Aeonia, who, in an unimaginable act of heroism, carried the slumbering demigod Melina all the way back to the Haligtree. She managed the feat alone, fending off all manner of foes along the way, and she died." And I think that is such an incredible act of heroism. I find that very inspirational, and so that's why I think she's one of the best girls. She literally died for, the person that she devoted her life to. Can you get any more best girl than that?
I know. No, she's definitely an amazing character, and just the imagery of her taking Melina back kind of has this war scene, Saving Private Ryan or something, in my mind. But just, I think the Cleanrot Knights in general are just their devotion to Melina, and like you said, despite knowing what it would lead to for them, is just really touching, but really, really tragic. So great choice for your first girl.
Yeah, super tragic. So number 2 is going to be Millicent. And this shouldn't be any surprise to anyone because I actually did a full video on Millicent and her entire story. If you want to check that out, you can actually click the link up above. But Millicent was just an innocent party and kind of this really messed up plot. And despite it, she's so strong-willed. And she has basically a terminal illness. She's got scarlet rot. There is no way to cure it. But even in that moment, she still is trying to push through when you're able to stave off the progression of the scarlet rot. And it's revealed that Gallery was really just kind of using her and her sisters, and she chose to deny him the satisfaction and willingly died for that. And I think that was really honorable for her and the right choice. She's also really kind towards the Tarnished. She warns you to leave the Church of the Plague because she doesn't want you to catch scarlet rot. She's also a summon in 4 different boss battles. Quote, "I would have you call upon me in battle should you ever have the need. It is the only way I can express my thanks." And even though as she dies, she doesn't want to actually harm you, she says to you, "The scarlet rot writhes now worse than ever. I wouldn't want such a thing to bring you harm." And this is at the end of her quest line. And again, it's kind of sad and tragic, but it's also really beautiful. And I find it very inspirational from this character. She just seems like an all-around good person.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you about her story. The ending to it being tragic, but at the same time, she did get what she wanted. It's her showing some
agency.
Exactly. She is making the decision to take the needle out because it's even though Gallery thinks, oh, she's going to be the one, she's going to be the Scarlet Valkyrie, we just have to push her to it. And the thing about the Aeonian bloom, it's a moment of desperation, and you would have had to turn on her in order to trigger this feeling of betrayal. I just think it's such it's so sad, but at the same time, it's her making the decision, I'm not going to be used that way. And she had a really, really great character arc. Really sad, but at the same time, it's kind of glad to see her no longer suffering.
I agree. So for my third pick is Black Knife Tiche, and she's actually another spirit summon ashes. She's hands down the best summons in the entire game. She is so strong and so agile. I know a lot of people who did use Black Knife Tiche agree that she is one of the best. If you look at some of the lists online compiled, she's pretty much up there at number 1 consistently, and for a good reason. She's really strong and really kind of just OP to have. But she also dies defending her mother while escaping the capital after the Night of the Black Knives and everything goes down with Godwin and Ranni. There's the group of them that kind of got left behind at the capital, and they have to escape. And in that escape, Alecto, who's the ringleader, is trying to escape with the rest of them, and Black Knife Tiche actually defends her and dies. And the only way to actually get Black Knife Tiche is to kill Alecto in the Everjail. So I just kind of find it this very strong, very, noble and kind of selfless person. I just find her very inspirational again. And she's also really mysterious. All of the Black Knife Assassins are really mysterious, and I love their characters for that. I'm kind of obsessed with them. I've talked about them quite a few times, and they're super mysterious and interesting to me, so I definitely have a soft spot for that. So my 4th pick is Melina, and she's the person at the very beginning of the game who kind of like starts you off. She gives you the ability to use runes to make yourself stronger. So she also gives insight into Marika's words, which just adds to her character, adds to the mystery, and also adds to like this connection between her and Queen Marika. And she really is, for the longest time, the only connection that we have to Queen Marika, and kind of gives us an idea of what Marika's state of mind during certain things was. As somebody who's a lore hunter, I find it very interesting, and it also feels like we're helping each other mutually. She's helping us, we're helping her get to the Erd Tree. Sometimes when you help NPCs, I feel like it can kind of feel really one-sided, like I'm just running off and doing all these quests for you, and then I get an item at the end, yay.
Right.
I know a lot of people kind of complained about her not being like maybe more of a bigger fleshed out character, but I did enjoy the fact that, there was a mutually beneficial contract between the two of I'm helping you, you're helping me. I also loved her accent.
I know.
I think she had one of the most interesting accents in the game. Her and Ranni, I feel like both of them have very unique voices that kind of really set them aside from everyone else. I think it's one of the prettiest ones.
Yeah.
She also sacrifices her life to assist us, and that kind of goes back to the whole like it feels very mutually beneficial, and she's willing to make the ultimate sacrifice. And so I just kind of find her really awesome in that way.
Yeah, my biggest thing I'm indebted to her was for Torrent.
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine like walking through that without Torrent. So I have to thank her for making that connection happen.
And my 5th pick is actually Ranni. So this is probably a very common pick, but I do find Ranni very interesting. She's extremely complicated, and she has such a mysterious past that takes us a lot of unraveling to undo and figure out, and she herself is like kind of like a true crime novel, just like as a person. And I think that that's really interesting. And she's got such a cool, visually interesting character design. I think she's one of the prettiest characters in the game. And she also accepts you as her consort. Instead of just allowing you to do her bidding and her deeds and then just kind of dumping you, she actually subverted my expectations. And I find that really romantic and very cute, that it's like, instead of just like using and abusing and kind of dumping you off, she actually does accept you. And obviously she has a completely different ending to the game. And I think that that's really, really cool. I really enjoyed her ending and her perspective on how to take away the Erd Tree and change and move forward. I think that that's really important, especially in like even real world, where it's like, we need to change, we need to move forward, we need to be able to let go and see that something's broken and not working.
No, absolutely. And I think that's one of the most like interesting things about her character too. So we talked about it briefly yesterday, but for me, Ranni felt like she was going against, clearly she was fighting against the will that the Two Fingers had chosen her for. And she's like, I don't want this life. But it wasn't so much because like I don't feel like it. It was she didn't agree with that vision. She wouldn't continue to be a pawn for a system that she sees as broken. Having it take away Blythe from her, I think it's just a further like nail in the coffin. Like, no, I'm completely going to get rid of the way that things are now. Like, we aren't going to be ruled by this system that has like brought so much pain to so many people around her. So I think she's a really, really interesting character because she's not like perfect and, she's kind of like rash and does these big plottings and whatnot. But she was just so well written. So that was a really good choice.
I think that she really reminds me of Millicent. They kind of have that same, like, I don't want my destiny, my fate to be in the hands of some puppet master controlling my life and controlling my narrative and having some agency. So I really appreciated to see that, especially in games where sometimes female characters kind of fall short.
Definitely. Okay, so I loved your list. I'm going to go ahead and go into mine. So my first girl was Raya, who we also know as Zorayas. If when you first see her, she's like got this cute little, she's kind of like hunched over. She's got these like braided buns on the side of her head. And I just thought she looked so cute. But I kind of remember wondering like, oh, she's got like a little hunchback. But you find out it's because her true form is like a serpent. But when you see her in her true form as Zorayas, she's so cute. She has this cute little voice. I just thought she was like the cutest. And so she's the adoptive daughter of Lady Tanith. We first meet her because she has her necklace stolen. It's like her most prized possession. You get it back. It's like, it has a depiction of her mother. So she just seems like such a sweet, innocent character. And surprisingly, it seems that when you go to Volcano Manor, you kind of have to tell her like, hey, this is what's actually going on. I have no idea like how she was there, not knowing what was actually going on. But it's really sad because when you tell her like the origins of her true birth and how she came to be, she's so despondent over it. And she actually asks you to kill her.
Poor thing.
I know, yeah. She asks you to kill her because she was made from this hideous ritual, she calls it. It's so sad because she genuinely just seems like such a nice, sweet character that unfortunately has really, really bad role models and examples around her. But I, of course, did not kill her. And at the end, when she leaves, she writes you a letter and thanks you. But then she also says she's going to try and carry out her mother's work. So in my headcanon, I'm hoping that Raya is just like, let me go in and clean up Volcano Manor and just turn it into like a cool person's club and without like the human sacrifice element. So my second favorite best girl is Renalla. And Renalla is such a cool character. I feel like her boss fight was one of the most visually memorable and different. It was so cool visually, but just her as a character, you learn a lot of her backstory through like the items and the other character dialogues and whatnot. And you find out that she's just such a visionary character. So in her youth, she was a champion. She led an army of knights. She then became the master of Raya Lucaria Academy. She had like her own lunar magic and she established her house as a royal family. And I think she's just such a powerful, she had so much potential to be like this great queen. And I felt like it was a big contrast to Marika because Renalla, you see her, she treats other races as equals. The Troll Knights fought with her, and it says that they were considered true knights of the Carian royal family, not just like, servants, but actually in her legion. She also appointed Loretta, who is a royal knight of her house. And despite Loretta being an Albinoric, and we find out like Albinorics were very looked down upon and mistreated, she has this esteemed position in her household. And Raya Lucaria is trying to make peace with the demi-humans, trying to teach them sorcery. So I just feel like she had the markings of a really great queen. And had it not been for Radagon being taken away from her and Renalla ultimately losing her mind, I could easily see her as like being the ruler of the lands between. And I also love the affection that she shows for Ranni. Her like whole mission is to practice reincarnation so she can bring Ranni back to life. It was so sad that even with her mind gone, that's like her love for her daughters, her main motivation to keep going.
I love that. I love Renalla. I think that she's super interesting. Obviously, she's the picture for my icon.
Yeah.
So obviously I like Renalla as well. I think you hit the nail on the head saying she would have been an amazing queen had things not gone so sideways with Radagon. I do think that like they were trying to broker peace and trying to bring the lands between kind of together rather than this constant fighting, which Queen Marika was more about, always on a war campaign. And it seemed like Renalla and the Carian royals were always just trying to defend themselves. So I definitely agree with your points there.
My third best girl is Latenna. So Latenna is an Albinoric and she is a spirit summons as well. I think she's the only spirit summons that isn't actually dead, but this is the form that she takes in order to accompany on your journey. But we meet her after you find out that Gideon kills her wolf, whom she says is like her better half. So when she joins you on this journey to get to the Halig tree, it's after her entire village has been slaughtered. Her last hope is getting to this place of sanctuary. When we get to the end game, when we get to the Halig tree area, the consecrated snowfields, you end up taking her to the apostate derelict and you meet this giant sleeping Albinoric. Latenna tells you that now her mission is complete. She gives her the birthing droplet so this Albinoric sister can bring a new future of hope to the Albinorics, and she decides to stay with you. She tells you that she will be in battle with you until the end, and I just thought it was so sad that instead of going to the Halig tree, having this place of sanctuary where that was her first intention, she realizes that what she was supposed to do is actually secure a better future for her people. It was such a great motivation and really, really selfless. And like you said earlier, like some of these characters can be kind of, out for themselves and selfish, and Latenna she didn't have any of that. So I really found it really admirable.
I 100% agree with your pick, because Albinorics are just like the best.
Yes, and they have such a sad story. I mean, I still don't feel, I would love if in DLC we got some like resolution for them to at least know they have a happier ending, but I kind of think this is the game telling us like, yeah, they're gonna be okay and it's gonna get better for them. My fourth favorite girl is Nepheli Loux, and she is a genuine hero. She's this descendant of Loux, who we know is Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, and she's the rightful heir to Stormveil. And when we first meet her, you can bring her into a fight against Godric. But she's just such a cool character. She has really, really honorable motivations. She pursues justice for the mistreated. The second time you see her is right after the slaughter at the village of the Albinorics, and she's there. She swears revenge. She says she's going to carve scars into the oppressors, and she's going to get them justice, because this is something that happened to her when she was a young girl that wiped out her tribe. She saw that violence, and I think it just it instilled in her like she wants to fight against that. And it turns out that the slaughter of the Albinorics was planned by her adoptive father Gideon Ofnir, and then her finding this out causes them to have a falling out, to have this guy who raised her do something so horrific, something that she was there to fight against.
It's such a betrayal.
It is because she's tarnished herself, and she comes from this great lineage. There is no hint of like, I want to be Elden Lord. When you see her, she's like, father's gonna be Elden Lord, and she supports him. And so like you said, it's such a betrayal to what she stands for. And she says that one of the promises he made to her was that he would never allow the downtrodden to be cheated ever again. And you can tell this is like such an important thing for her to pursue. When you see her in the throne room in Stormveil afterward, she's not there going on and on about, oh, I'm the rightful heir, because a lot of the golden lineage is so obsessed with their heritage.
Right.
They're obsessed with their connection to Godfrey. And for her, it's not even a point of pride. There's none of that in her. She's thankful to you for your help. She's super humble. She doesn't want to compete against you for Elden Lord. She's the kind of leader that the people deserve. I'm really glad that she gets a happy ending, because, well, in my game, she did not get a happy ending, because I didn't know that if you give her the potion, she turns into a puppet.
Oh no!
Yeah.
No!
So that is like the bad alternate version. She's like a puppet in my game, but in my husband's game, I got to see her better ending. So
I was gonna say, like, Nepheli Loux, I think, is the first NPC's questline that I got to finish, and was so excited to see her inside of the throne room and see her in her rightful place. I loved her character, and I almost missed even finding her in Stormveil Castle. I had to go back and have a friend explain to me where to find her, because I'd missed her completely. That makes me so sad for you.
I know,
that happened.
It was very sad. I had no idea, so I really screwed up her story. So I feel like I have to give her a shout out to make up for screwing her over in my game. My last favorite girl is Roderika. She's just so sweet and gentle and quiet. And when you first see her, she's like kind of just determined that, okay, I'm over here. I guess I'm gonna be grafted. They're gonna cut off my head and my arms and my legs and attach them to that horrible spider. And when you see her character develop in the game, I think she's another one that has such great growth, because you see her in the beginning, it's just very kind of shy and timid. And with the help of Master Hugh, who sees her potential as a spirit tuner, she becomes his apprentice. She gets out of her shell. She accepts her role like yeah, I am a spirit tuner, and throws herself into this art form. And I think she has such a cute and sweet, genuinely sweet relationship with Hugh. Doesn't have any sort of discrimination towards him as being a misbegotten, as you find out, like, they're very, very just hated and looked down, very mistreated race. I mean, Master Hugh is literally chained up, and she tells you that she can tell under his rough exterior he's got a gentle soul. And I just love the relationship between the two of them. She will eventually like beg you to ask him to leave, cares more for him than she does herself. And she even says that he is the one who made her who she is today. And it's such a sweet relationship. I just feel like she's just such a nice, innocent character. But I loved seeing her character grow from being kind of shy and timid to, at the very end, she's like openly telling you, like, go kill America for what she's done, for how she's cursed us all. I loved Roderika. She's just very sweet, and it kind of just always felt like I had friends at the round table hold when I saw her there.
I feel like I misunderstood Roderika in the beginning. I kind of didn't really like her character because I remember just kind of being like, what is this girl whining about? Like, what is going on? And then when you actually find out, you're just like, okay, well, that's understandable.
Yeah, literally.
I can understand why you're upset.
You're gonna cut off her head.
But her character growth is so good, and I agree. Like, she comes out of her shell and she becomes so much more loyal. Her fierce loyalty to Master Hugh after losing all of her men. I mean, it makes sense, right, that she wants to bond with people. She obviously cares a lot about people, and definitely liked Roderika way more at the end of the game than I did at the beginning. So her growth is definitely very apparent. Yeah. This was such a great list. Thank you so much for doing this with me. This was so fun.
It was so fun to discuss them.
Absolutely. So we did a video on your channel. If you guys want to check that out, it'll be linked down below. I can't wait to chat again, but thank you so much for doing this, and I will talk to everyone in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.